Hello again, YouTubers, on with SpongeBob11 back here again on the Other Stuff channel with another Pokemon video game video. Today we are reviewing the official Pokemon Platinum version guidebook from not Prima Games, surprisingly. So I was always under the impression that prior to, X and Y or something, the game guides were always made by Prima Games, most notably the Pokemon Emerald version one. But surprisingly, I found out that back in 2009, they released this Pokemon Platinum version. It doesn't have the Prima Games symbol or logo on the cover. It says Nintendo DS, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. On the spine, it says Pokemon Platinum. And we have the starters there, official Pokemon strategy guide, bonus mini poster inside. On the back of the cover, do you have the guts to face Sinnoh again? Because we've got the guide. So there's a bonus double-sided poster inside, which I'll show you momentarily. And it says, welcome back to the Sinnoh region. Okay, so you guys can just pause there and read it. I'm not gonna read it all out. We do have Pokedex and walkthrough in just a single guide. And this was released back in 2009 for $19.99 in the United States by Pokemon USA Incorporated. All right, so as we always do, I'm going to set the book down on the table, and we're going to take a very, very good look at it. So this book is actually pretty long, so I'm not sure how long this video is really going to be, but hopefully it won't take too long. Before we actually get started, I want to show you guys the poster here. So this is the underground exploration map. And then on the other side, we have the Sinnoh region map. Alrighty. So that was the poster. Now we can actually go over to the introduction. This was published directly by the Pokemon USA, published in the United States using materials from Pokemon Platinum official clear guide published in Japan in 2008. Alrighty, so again, where you guys want to, read, just pause the video. And I'll try to go through this as fast as possible, but you can tell we have a lot of pages to get through. And there's nothing really that I do want to highlight, aside from the fact that I've never played Pokemon Platinum before. So it's one of the DS, I gotta say, basically I've never played any Pokemon game before Pokemon Black and Pokemon White. And the reason being is because I only started playing Pokemon games in earnest in 2017 when I got my very first Nintendo 3DS, or to be more specific, my new Nintendo 2DS XL. So back then, I wasn't really interested in the 2D versions of games because, I figured, hey, we are in the 3D era. I'm used to the 3D era, so we're just going to keep going. However, I did go back to play Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2 because I gotta admit it, try it out on the computer back when they first launched. How I did that, I'm not going to say specifically, but I also remember watching a lot of playthrough videos for Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2, specifically Black and White 2. In fact, I got into Pokemon cards first before the video games. I got into Pokemon cards in 2008, or yes, specifically 2008 with the Pokemon Platinum Arceus set. So that was the very first set that I actually opened. Now, actually, come to think of it, it's not 2008 at all. It's 2009. So the tail end of 2009, then we went into 2010 with the Heart Gold and Soul Silver era of cards. Those four sets were really cool, plus Call of Legends as well. And then we went into Black and White. I think Black and White is when I actually got into the Pokemon games a little bit, started watching videos on top of the card openings and all that. So yeah, that was just part of growing up. Back then, of course, SpongeBob was still my main thing, and it is sorta still now. It's just I don't think too much about SpongeBob as opposed to Pokemon, because Pokemon's way more hype nowadays. But anyways, I still like SpongeBob a lot, just for the entertainment value and all that. But yeah, so again, you can see plenty of stuff here. Now, I'm not really going to point out the Oxys. I'm not really going to point out the differences between Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Pokemon Platinum here. Of course, we do have the very obvious ones, including Shaman, Sky form, and Giratina Origin form, which were obviously not in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And they had some sort of, updates given to them. Or more like when Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out, they were adapted to fit the Diamond and Pearl games, even though, for example, the new forms were released and Pokemon Platinum. So I've never played Pokemon Platinum. How many? Can I even say that correct? Pokemon Platinum. So the only time I've ever played Gen 4 is via Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I still do have a sealed copy of Pokemon Pearl that's in my collection. Got for a really great deal back when clearance was happening back in 2020 and 2021. And yeah, I'm really enjoying having it in the collection because it's pricey, even though the games were remade. Sealed copies of anything 10 years old is always going to be expensive. I mean, just look at Pokemon Black and White 2. I do have the used copies, not the sealed copies, of course. And I don't even have Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver for the simple reason I don't feel like it's worth paying the money. But I also don't really want to play it because it's 2D. So I know I'm missing out, but I accept what I'm missing out on. However, if they do remake Johto, the Johto region in the future, of course, you know, in 3D, I'll be more than happy to play it. So we get to the Distortion World, one of the most iconic things of Pokemon Platinum. Even without playing the game, I can tell you it is very iconic. So yeah, now we also go into the Lake Guardians, you know, capturing them, ribbons, Route 222. So Platinum is similar but different, right? It's the culmination of the Sinnoh journey, and back in the day, the final versions gave you the best bang for your buck because they included a lot of quality of life updates, a little bit of story updates, you know, made the game a little bit, or give you more features, or made battles more exciting, changed up the story a little bit, and yeah, you know, it was great. Now we don't have those anymore, definitely. So Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 weren't really remakes of Black and White. They were just sequels, so they followed up in the story, which is perfectly fine as well. And for Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, we had a variation of the story from the original, which sort of, you know, goes back to the Pokemon Platinum style, or Pokemon Emerald style, which is perfectly fine. But of course, there we had 2 games instead of just 1. And for Gen 6, now I'm recording this in March 2024. We know that Pokemon Legends ZA is coming out next year, 2025, for the Nintendo Switch systems, perhaps even the next system. Okay, so we're going to continue here with some move techniques. So now, you know, I haven't really looked at Pokemon guidebooks before Black and White, before I actually got this book, as well as 2 books for Diamond and Pearl. So those were actually published by Prima Games, or Prima Guides, to be specific. And yeah, we got a Battle Frontier here, which of course is not something in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, unfortunately. But we did get a Battle Tower, so that's, I guess, a consolation. I don't know. Yeah, so I haven't actually looked at Pokemon guidebooks from before 2010, before I got this and the Diamond and Pearl books. So I'm gonna try to get these videos out consecutively. I'm doing Platinum first just because I think it's probably more interesting than Diamond and Pearl, but theoretically you could always refer to the Diamond and Pearl guides if you want to play Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Now, of course, there are still Japanese guides being published for, and most recently, in fact, just a couple of days ago from the day I'm recording this, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero guidebooks in Japan were released, and those are actually on the way right now. So I believe we should be getting them in this week of March, around 21st, 22nd, and I hope to get the videos up as soon as possible thereafter. But yeah, I'm really excited to look through that. Now, the guidebook, just spoiler, it's not that long. It's like 300, I think, 400 pages. But the Pokedex, however, is huge. I think it's like 900 pages, which is, I'm not even sure why it's so long. But, you know, there has to be more than just Pokemon Dex entries, right? So I know we always have some concept art to look at. We've got mystery gift codes in there as well. And yeah, really excited for those. Those are coming in from Japan, and maybe the next video after this one will be for the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero strategy guide, and then the Pokedex after. Speaking of Pokedex, here we begin the Pokedex proper, the National Pokedex, or at least Sinnoh Pokedex first for Pokemon Platinum. Again, I'm not gonna, stay on each page too long just because we have too many to get through. And if you look right there, we still have like the National Pokedex on the back, right? So we're gonna go through the Sinnoh Dex and then the National Dex. Now, of course, the Sinnoh Dex is based on that in Pokemon Platinum and not that of Diamond and Pearl. So just something to take note of. I'm not too sure off the top of my head if the Diamond and Pearl books also have a National Pokedex segment, at least in the Volume 2 version of the book, which is focused on the Pokedex, but we shall see when that video comes around. Alright, so we got Drifloon, Haunter. I really, really like Mega Evolutions, in case you guys don't already know. So just seeing, an era before Mega Evolutions just feels weird, because again, I wasn't introduced to Pokemon in this era. So everything looks really old, and not to say that it's bad, that old is bad. In fact, probably, old stuff sometimes can be really great, right? But of course, look at the art. We've got some really retro art here compared to Lucario for Quagsire and Wooper. So yeah, I guess they just tried to find, oh, look at that sad Azurill. Okay, and again, the Azumarill, why are they using such old static arts? Again, this was published by Pokemon directly, so they must have had all the art on hand. Or I guess they were just trying to rush this book out, and they just picked whatever, static art they could find on hand or something. We've got Manaphy, Rotom. Rotom's forms were also introduced in Platinum, I believe. So that's cool. Alright. And again, Diamond and Pearl's National Dex had like 150 plus Pokemon, which is really small. So you can already see that the Sinnoh Dex was expanded for purposes of Pokemon Platinum. In fact, we are going, they added more non-Sinnoh Pokemon in it, which totally makes sense because, they needed more fire types, for example. But yeah. So here we have Giratina and Giratina Origin Form. So 210 Pokemon in the Sinnoh Dex. Now we come to the National Pokedex, starting off with, complete a National Pokedex. Tips for, look at that. Let's focus. There you go. So we've got some more recent art. We've got some very old art and more recent art. Okay. I think I'm seeing a pattern here. The Johto Pokemon seem to have the very old art designs, right? Also sync with, it says cinch. Is that supposed to be the case? I mean, synchronize, like, so yeah, it is correct, but also it's just a bit weird to see that. And with Pokemon Bank, having an uncertain future right now, whether we can transfer Pokemon from Gen 4, Gen 5, or Gen 3 to Gen 7 is really up in the air. We don't know when that link is going to be cut, although we already know it's just a couple weeks away from the deadline for you to use, or not deadline, but like the closure date of online services for Pokemon 3DS games, or 3DS games generally. So after that, the only online service functionality that will be available on the 3DS will basically be Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Transporter, assuming you already have those downloaded. If you don't have them downloaded, or you didn't download them before, you're out of luck, unless you do something specific to your Nintendo 3DS console. But aside from that, you are out of luck. I'm glad I actually managed to set up both my secondary 2DS XL with the Pokemon Bank as well, just in case. It's kind of a bummer how they never made it a local transfer. I'm pretty sure there must have been a way to make local transfers, but they wanted to charge for, server service and all that. And just the fact that we can't pop a 3DS game into the Nintendo Switch, right? It just prevents the hardware link from connecting. Now, they could always release a hardware accessory, just something like a link cable or something like that, a Game Boy Advance reader, but the likelihood of that is really probably zero. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier. It seems like the Johto Pokemon have the very old artworks, and I'm not sure why it's specifically the Johto Pokemon, but it is. So I guess we can enjoy these. Also very interesting, but not very relatable because, again, you know, this was not my era of Pokemon. I don't have any nostalgia for it, but if you do, that's great. One thing, though, that I didn't purchase off the 3DS eShop before the closure were the Virtual Console games for Red, Blue, and Yellow, as well as Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Now, they were only $9.99 plus tax, right? But I chose not to buy them because I knew I was never going to play them. And why was I never going to play them? Because number one, I do not have nostalgia for them, as in I've never played them before. And just going back to that kind of art style, that kind of gameplay, as opposed to what we have now in the 3DS and Switch era, where everything's in 3D, you know, everything's colorful, and the world is way more expansive, as opposed to what it was back in those days. For those days, you know, it was a revolutionary thing. But just having to go back to that is not something I really want to do. So I'm more than happy to play reimagine or remake 3D games of, you know, Kanto, Johto. Yeah, basically Kanto and Johto. But I'm really not intending to play the original games. So yes, there might be Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Again, the reason why I don't want to go back to that is just because it's too expensive and I really want to play on my console, not on a, you know, computer, if you get what I mean. So yeah. Perhaps I could just pick up a copy of, without the accessories, without the Pokewalker, of Soul Silver. I think Soul Silver is still slightly cheaper than Heart Gold, but really, I don't think it's a really worthwhile proposition to do. But let me know in the comments, should I do it? I think many of you will tell me, yeah, you should go ahead and experience Johto. In fact, maybe if there is a Johto remake on the horizon, I might want to just, you know, play something like what I'm currently doing now, X and Y, playing X and Y before Pokemon Legends ZA comes out, as at the same time, you know, because online services are closing very soon. I just want to experience Pokemon X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire online just for a little bit more. So we are going through the Pokemon contest moves here. I know I haven't really been talking specifically about this book, and I've explained why already. So yeah, but you know, if you guys are nostalgic about Pokemon Platinum, leave me in the comments below. What was your favorite memory of it? Or what's your favorite thing about the game generally? Of course, common answers: Battle Resort, or not Battle Resort, but Battle Frontier, right? We've got the Distortion World. We've got, you know, HP bars moving faster, perhaps. I'm not even sure if that's really the case, but from what I watched, the HP bars move really slow in Diamond and Pearl. So that's it's a good thing that they didn't carry that over into Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, just to, you know, troll players a little bit. But if they did, that would be really funny. At the same time, it would be, well, like, shooting themselves in the foot, right? Like, just pissing off the player base, which would make all the pushback against BDSP even greater than what it actually was. So yeah, we had just a whole bunch of Pokemon moves and abilities list. I usually don't go through these in even other guidebooks, simply for the reason that they don't give you anything super unique. You can find this information on the internet very, very easily. So yeah, we are approaching the end of the book. Weaknesses, quick reference. Now, I think that's something we don't have anymore in the later ones. We just have a type chart like this. Yeah. So we got the type chart here. Very simple text instead of like the classic type logos or type symbols that we do have now. And then we've got Sinnoh alphabetical Pokedex. And over here, we've got the National alphabetical Pokedex, which continues over to the last page. Alrighty, so yeah, that's basically it for our review of Pokemon Platinum Versions, the official Pokemon guide. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick review, quick look at everything in this book. And make sure to subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys again in the next Pokemon video or any other stuff video that's coming to the channel. Till next time, bye!